Scream 7. So a lot of Scream stuff started floating around yesterday. And I was like, let me just like, I started doing my research, my deep dives, all the other stuff. So that way I could bring the stuff to y'all. So there's rumors going around that Patrick Dempsey, who played Mark Kincaid in Scream 3, and also, as it was alluded in, what was it, Scream 5, that Sydney went and married him and they had two kids together. I believe they had two girls, if I'm not mistaken. If I can remember that far back, because I can't remember every single detail of these damn movies. It'd be a lot to process. So, apparently, there's word that he's going to be making a return, which would make sense because he is a part of the Spyglass family. He was in Thanksgiving, if you haven't seen that movie. And so they're saying that he may be making a return to film since this is going to be a Sydney-based film after everything y'all know what happened between Melissa Barrera and all that other stuff that was going on behind the scenes with the core four. Well, two of the core four. And then there was another story that came that on top of that, that Courtney Cox would be put back to the franchise as well to reprise her role as Gail Weathers, which would make sense because she's been in all the damn films, right? And she was an executive producer. She got a credit on the last film, even though her character damn near died, and I'm glad she didn't. Girl, that plot armor with her, she should have not survived. Her and Chad, come to think of it. But anyway, so there's rumors that they're going to be coming back to the franchise. Now, someone by the name of Daniel Rickman, who we have referenced a lot on the show, he's like a big insider scooper. Like he always gets the scoops and things. It's not all the time he gets it right, but most of the time he gets it right. So I'm actually going to believe that this is true. I mean, it makes sense because even when the whole Melissa Barrera stuff started coming out and her support of Palestine and the ceasefire and things, I had alluded. I was like, okay, now at this point, I don't know where y'all gonna go with this franchise or with direction, but there were always rumors floating around between myself and so many other punters that are fans of Scream. When we talk about Scream, we have implied that okay, now if it would make sense, like okay, so if you can't work out the core four, then because you already set things up with them in Scream 5, and then more so we got to know them in Scream 6. That was the more Gen Z, Gen Alpha fans of the franchise. This franchise with Sydney and them is Gen X and millennials. This is basically our franchise. So I'm here for this. So I know a lot of people mad over this whole thing with Spyglass, but here's the thing. I keep trying to reiterate this by saying Spyglass is not selling the franchise. They made so much money from this franchise, especially the last one. And this is show business. This is not show friends. This is just the way things are. They're not going to give up this franchise. They're not going to push it to the side because y'all are mad over Melissa Barrera not, doing what happened with her. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against Melissa Barrera. I am team Melissa Barrera all the way with this, but I understand how this industry works. I understand that this is the nature of the business. And if we're going to get mad over every little thing that people do in this industry that it isn't to our liking, we might as well just stop listening to music. We might as well just stop watching movies. We might as well just stop being entertained and just go around being pissed off all the goddamn time. I'm sorry, about good old age, I am not trying to be one of those people. I'm not trying to run around being angry and bitter and shit. First of all, you get crow's feet. I ain't trying to get no lines and stuff about like I got my natural lines on my forehead and stuff, which is like I ain't doing no Botox or whatever because I'm seeing how some of that Botox be doing with some of the men, and y'all faces be looking crazy. Y'all be looking like Klingons out here. So with the forehead work. So I wouldn't even be doing that. But they were saying that to get to the situation, said Patrick Dempsey is reportedly set to appear in Scream 7. However, Rickman's announcement is to be considered just a rumor until it's confirmed in an official capacity. Rickman's report says Cox is a lock to reprise the role of the love her or hate her journalist, Gail Weathers, after Campbell bowed out of returning as Sidney Prescott for Scream 6 due to widely reported salary issues that left Cox as the only remaining survivor of the original Scream 1996 film to appear in the fifth sequel and all six installments of the horror franchise for that matter. It's also worth mentioning that Roger Jackson provides the voice of Ghostface in all the Scream movies. So even though people don't know Roger Jackson, y'all do know that iconic voice. And as long as he's alive, he should always do the voice of Ghostface. And he also reported that Scream 3's Patrick Dempsey is talking about returning as Mark Kincaid. Dempsey portrayed the love interest of Sidney Prescott, which I already told y'all about, when they did Scream, when he appeared in Scream 3. And I like Patrick Dempsey. First of all, he's getting better looking as he's getting, as the older he gets. And we already, I don't need to reiterate everything that went on with, the whole situation with Melissa Barrera. Like I said, I stand with her and her opinion on this other stuff. But there was some rumors that was going around. I know they also said in the article that Skeet Ulrich could also certainly reprise his role as the ghostly vision of Billy Loomis once more after his unexpected return in the last two movies. I cannot see that happening because remember, when we saw Billy Loomis, that was Sam Carpenter's conscience talking to her through her father because that whole storyline with the first two movies, what those well, first two movies as in 5 and 6, was basically about Sam, is she her father? Or those genes of her father being a damn killer, serial killer? Because when you kill more than when you kill multiple people, you pretty much a damn serial killer, correct? So wh- is is being a serial killer hereditary? So that was kind of the question that those movies were asking, and Sam's character literally only became a serial killer of sorts. She kind of adapted the Dexter. I guess, in my opinion, she kind of adapted the Dexter code, which would be like, I'm not going to go around killing innocents, but if you a killer, I'm gonna kill your ass and basically just stab you up like she did Dermot Mulroney in the last. I'm like, well, goddamn, what was that, like 50 stabs she put up in the damn sequence at the end? I'm really hoping that this movie is good. I really also hope that Kevin Williamson, who was like one of my, I absolutely love that fact that he was someone who played a great role in my love of horror movies in my childhood because it wasn't just Scream. It was I Know What You Did Last Summer. He did a whole bunch of. He was like the go-to horror movie screenwriter guy in Hollywood during the late '90s into the 2000s, and then he did Teaching Mrs. Tingle, which nobody remembers. But but overall, I'm excited for him, and I really hope that he's going to give some points or kind of work on the script and give his pointers and all the other stuff within this film. Because here's the thing: we cannot allow this other guy. What's his name? Guy Busick, I think is who's writing the script. First of all, y'all irritated me with the last two movies, 5 and 6, because y'all third acts were the weakest, in my opinion. Um, so I'm really hoping that Kevin can come in and zhuzh up the script a little bit. I don't think he cares whether or not he can get a writer's credit because I believe he mentioned that that has happened before when he's done things, and because he's come in and given a little tightening of the script that he never really got a writer's credit, that someone else is going to end up getting it. And with him directing, I'm sure he's going to kind of give his opinion and change up some things to spruce up the characters and make the third act a little stronger, which we know that he's good at because he wrote the first Scream, which we love. Scream 2 was even better. And I believe Scream 4 is what he did. And here's the thing, I love Scream 4. I love Scream 1, Scream 2, and Scream 4. I know some people say Scream 3 sucks. I actually liked Scream 3. It was a little campy and over the top. And I love me some Parker Posey, who played the Gale Weathers character in the Stab movie. But I enjoyed Scream 3 because it was just funny. It was funny. It was like a crazy thrill ride, and I pretty much enjoyed the movie. So in my opinion, I don't think there's ever really been a bad Scream film. This is not like Halloween or Friday the 13th where you look at some, I was like, oh, okay, now this is some bullshit. But the Scream films is like, even though some of them weren't as strong as others, there were moments that you could pull from those films. It's like, but this is a strong enough movie that I can actually sit and rewatch. So the thing with me and Scream, I can watch all those movies and not be bored. And I think that's more important than just being like, oh my God, this movie's god awful or just utter trash, and I can't sit there and watch it. So I'm excited for this. And then also, before we wrap this story up, I had heard some rumors that they're looking for three new co-leads to star alongside Campbell. Two of the female cast members, they're saying that they're alleged to be related. Now, I'm hoping, in my opinion, this is not true because, coming off of what happened with the Carpenter sisters and the actresses who played them, I feel like, okay, now is Spyglass trying to gaslight? Like, first of all, y'all trying to find any way to just slither y'all way out of that situation, which there are some people that's still holding y'all their feet to the fire over the whole thing of how they treated Melissa. And in my opinion, that's great. If you feel that you need to do that, then you need to do that. But as someone who loves films and who loves Scream, I'm not going to, and as media, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to watch that. See, they gooped me in. Y'all sucked me in because of the whole, because of Nev Campbell. Nev Campbell, no, I don't care what they say. And, even though fuck you, Spyglass, for how y'all treated Nev in the prior movie, which is why she stepped away because y'all didn't want to pay her worth. But y'all had to back up that goddamn Brinks truck because any other idea y'all came up with trying to start off with a whole new cast, people wasn't going to buy it. And people wasn't going to be here for it. So y'all had to go and bring her in. So regardless of that, I gotta support because Sydney is my girl. So that's the reason why I'm gonna watch it. Look, if I decide to thumb my nose and stomp my feet and act screw up my face, be like, I'm not gonna go see this film. Fuck y'all. The movie's still gonna do well because it's gonna be those people that don't pay attention to all this stuff that's going on, that are just fans of horror movies. I'm like, oh look, a Scream movie. Oh look, Nev Campbell. Oh look, Sidney Prescott. Okay, I'm there because people are familiar with her. They don't care about all the other politics and stuff that's going on here. The only people who's paying attention to that are us that work in media and horror movie fans and people that's been keeping track of this whole Scream thing. But I do think that would be a horrible idea if y'all did that shit. So I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I do think they may be they might be trying to bring in some new people, of course, that surround Sydney. So that way y'all can come up with some interesting characters in case, because I've heard rumors of a possible trilogy or whatever. So I do hope that. But I also would like to see them to go in a completely different direction. If not just, having Sydney there and her protecting her kids and her husband, Mark, who I'm sure is probably, I'm hoping is still a cop. And I hope y'all don't do him like they did homegirl. What was I saying her name? Oh, I forgot. The chick that was in Halloween 5, the Rachel. She was awesome in Halloween 4, and then Halloween 5. I was like, that's how y'all had her. Y'all did her with the way Michael Myers is. I said, oh, no, this is bullshit. Now, if y'all do that in these films, I'm gonna be mad. So y'all can't do it. Like, he was pretty smart. He survived and he does other stuff, and in Scream 3. Now, if y'all bring him in this movie, y'all get him killed off, I'm gonna be upset. Because it's like, first of all, he's a cop. He knows how to use a gun. There's no way in hell that y'all gonna outsmart him. But look, it's been notorious that Scream, the cops are basically like doofuses. Similar to, but Doofy. See, now I'm thinking of Scary Movie because Dewey was goofy. I mean, Doofy or whatever his name, similar Doofy, Doofus, whatever. Even though his sister called him Doofus and all those stupid names in the original Scream. Shout out to Tatum. May she rest in peace. But I do hope that they kind of go. I would love to see them do like a final guy. Like, why we don't get enough final guys in horror movies? Like, we've seen a lot of great final guys. Tommy Jarvis from Friday the 13th Part 4, but that's played by Corey Feldman. And then we had, they changed him and made him older. We don't count Part 5 because Part 5 was not the good one. And first one, that was a fake Jason. But Part 6, well, we had Tom, what was it? I think it was Tom Matthews was his name. And he was also in one of my other all-time favorite horror movies from back in the 80s, Return of the Living Dead. And then he's also appeared in a couple of the Friday the 13th fan made films. The one that's I know there was a recent one where he plays a paramedic now as an older guy. He's a paramedic. And then they did one recently on Netflix that y'all I mean not Netflix, on YouTube that y'all can watch. So it was like a little short film. It was actually pretty good though. But anyway, if y'all can come up with somebody that's like a final guy, like Tommy Jarvis in Friday 13th Part 4 or 6, or even though I know this film is controversial, Jesse Walsh, who was like the gay final guy in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, because the symbolisms of the homoeroticness was in that movie, all through that movie. Come to find out, the actor that played him is gay in real life, but that you can't tell me that film wasn't queer coded. But so I would love to see them do like more of a final guy type of approach. Maybe I could bring in Rohan Campbell, who played Corey Cunningham in Halloween Ends, and I know that movie is controversial. And don't get me wrong, as a standalone Halloween film, I enjoyed it. But as far as like that, but a part of that trilogy that y'all was setting it up for with Halloween 2018, it's a chop. But if it was its own individual solo Halloween movie, then I would have been here for that. But I would love Rohan Campbell to get another chance because he got the short end of the stick over something that David Gordon Green and them decided to come up with. So he shouldn't have to his career shouldn't have to suffer because David Gordon Green decided to give us some bullshit with that Halloween franchise. When you set it up in a good way, and then I'm like, this is what we got in the end. So I like Rohan Campbell. I would love to see him play maybe a final guy or even a Ghostface because he definitely as playing the next generation Michael Myers of sort, because they were trying to play up that whole, oh well, the evil spirit can be transferred into people and all that other stuff. I would like to see him play that, actually have that role. But I think because we've seen him play a killer already, it'd be nice to see him play like a final guy of sorts, or maybe a victim. But look, at the end of the day, oh yeah, and then I also heard because they did say Halloween or whatever. And then Robert and I was talking earlier. I don't know if he's in the room yet because I haven't checked the comments, but he said that Judy Greer, who played Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter in the Halloween 28, the David Gordon Green Halloween films, is in talks to be in the new Scream film, which would be good. I mean, it would make sense because she is older and she would be someone who could see as playing a friend of Sidney Prescott, who happens to get caught in the crossfire of, Ghostface or whatever. And she's gonna need them friends, especially because Sydney's older. Sydney has a husband. Sydney has children, so it would make sense that she would kind of be friends with other women who possibly have children themselves, and then things start happening to them in the suburbs. So, regardless of what direction the film takes, at the end of the day, I'm glad Sydney's back. I'm glad that Kevin Williams is back. I'm excited for this seventh installment. I know Gen X's and millennials. This is our franchise. We taking it back from these other people that's out here trying to change up our shit and to bring in this core four. And don't get me wrong, I love the core four. I live for the core four. I love what they was all about. I grew fond of them, but sorry, y'all suffering because Melissa Barrera opened her mouth and y'all want to play, and then Spyglass did what they bullshit. They had to come up with something and taking it back to the original cast, the ones that's left. So I'm